I need to ask you about crypto because you had some exposure to FTX just yesterday, and in the past 20, well, now it would be 36 hours, the SEC has filed two major lawsuits, one against Binance and one against Coinbase.
Big new updates if you hold crypto in the US. By the way, the contagion may be spreading, but starting with Binance, Binance US suspends the use of fiat as a legal troubles mount. So the exchange said users should withdraw all their USD as soon as possible, as the Securities and Exchange Commission engages in extremely aggressive and intimidating tactics against the company. Dear valued customer, as you may be aware, Binance US, alongside other companies in our industry, has become the target of aggressive tactics by the United States. The SEC has brought unjustified civil claims against our business, from which we will continue to vigorously defend ourselves, our customers, our partners, and industry. And while as of today, they say all your crypto is fine with them, everything that aspect is staying open, Binance US says it is transitioning to an all crypto exchange as of June 13th. And the company said trading, staking, deposits, and withdrawals in crypto remain fully operational. Yet the reason that they have to pause USD channels is because of Operation Choke Point 2.0. Irrespective of baseless claims, and in light of the Commission's increasingly aggressive tactics, our payment and banking partners have signaled their intent to pause USD fiat channels as early as June 13th.
I've read all the charges. I've read both complaints. They are two different complaints. What's going on against Binance is those are really, really serious and alleged
commingling of consumer funds
and directly charging the founder, who's an entrepreneur that created a lawless environment. That's what the SEC is claiming.
And as you remember, on Tuesday, the SEC filed for a temporary restraining order to freeze certain assets tied to Binance US. The two are due back in court on June 13th regarding the matter. The same day, Binance US says it's transitioning to an all-crypto exchange. Now, Kevin has always had a strong bias against CZ, against Binance, but for Brian Armstrong, for the CEO of Coinbase, how would Kevin O'Leary solve this?
One of two things should happen. If you're a shareholder or a board member of Coinbase, I'd swap leadership. I'd get a new person to run it and go back into the staff and say, we got to work this out. Because the whole industry's been stymied for 3 years. We'll never get capital appreciation until an institution can invest. I've talked to sovereign wealth. I've talked to institutions in the last 48 hours. You know what they've said? This makes this asset class radioactive waste. We are not going to touch this until this thing's resolved. So here's a company that could resolve it. They claim they're the leaders. Well, if the leader of that company, and I'm not pulling any punches. If he was working for me, I'd fire him. I'd get somebody else.
You're talking about the head of Coinbase.
Yes, it's over. It's so over, it's almost getting boring. Gensler has told him countless times, no, 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 and no. And everybody hears it except him. So maybe what you do, and you thank him for his great work as a pioneer.
You're supposed to do that if you want something done in Washington.
Well, you take him out behind the barn and you make the swap. You get a new CEO at Coinbase to go back in there and say, let's make a deal. Because look at it this way. If you could walk in right now and say, okay, Gensler, you win. Let's regulate this. Let's call it a security. You get $1 trillion worth of assets for an allocation of just 3% in sovereign wealth. You could open the spigots. You could really make this industry take off and own it domestically. But read the tea leaves, read the room, listen, read Gensler's lips. The answer is no.
And just in, as of this morning, Crypto.com exchange suspends U.S. institutional business. And while Crypto.com is not primarily a U.S.-based exchange, the Singapore-based digital asset platform added that it made the decision due to limited demand from institutions in the U.S. in the current market landscape. Now, keep in mind, this is just for institutional investors in the U.S. Institutional investors are large, accredited customers, but for everybody else, the average person like you, like me, nothing has changed. This decision regarding the Crypto.com exchange business in the U.S. does not impact our Crypto.com retail app used by more than 80 million users worldwide in any way. Now we have monster Chainlink news, the CEO speaking on Chainlink's partnership with Swift. Also a new clip from former SEC Chair Jay Clayton. But many of you have been asking for an earnings update from sponsor of the channel XCAD. Easiest way to earn money in cryptocurrency every day just by watching YouTube and checking back in on my extension, my results. Boom. After around 60 videos, which is 12 days, because per nerd, you can watch 5 videos per day. So after a total of 60 videos viewed, my earnings a little bit over $600 in these last 12 days. That's around 7.18 thousand play tokens. And in total, per month, that would average to around $1,500 earned per month just by watching YouTube. Pretty cool. Also keep in mind that as gross earnings, you do have to account for repair costs, which is about 20%. And if you're asking, what did I have to do to earn that? Well, just watch YouTube videos. As a reminder, my nerd's specialty is fun, so I like to watch the fun videos. And in total, to watch 5 videos per day, that does take around between 20 and 25 minutes, depending on which creators' videos you watch. And you do have to watch at least 80% of each video, which creators like. They like retention. Now we know that major YouTubers, Mr. Beast, KSI, backed XCAD as early as 2021. We also know that watch to earn major trend potentially this cycle. And while I share with you a full explanation in my video, which is now linked down below, check it out, essentially how this works, mint a nerd and get rewarded for supporting your favorite YouTubers and for viewing patterns most beneficial to creators, buy a nerd and start earning play tokens. And keep in mind, I did this with a rare nerd with a reputation sort of on the lowest end of rare nerds, 6 out of 10. If you obviously mint a nerd with better stats, rarer stats, then obviously earnings would increase, decrease, depending on your nerd and its stats. Also, keep in mind, XCAD's play area is only available on Android or desktop through an extension. It should be coming to iOS at the end of this month. And even though access codes can be hard to come by, there is one down below in the video description. And once you download the extension or the Android app, you can just sign up, then use the access code. Then, of course, you will have to pick your box, which will determine how good your NFT, your nerd is. You want one with high traits. I did the rare box for a rare NFT. You do what's best for you. Again, a link down below, also access code down below in the video description. And feel free to comment your experience. If you're already watching and earning, comment your experience down below. And a huge reason to be bullish on crypto long-term, as Chainlink's co-founder explains their Swift partnership to test interbank blockchain tech.
All right, Sergey, thank you so much for joining us on Crypto World today. So Chainlink just announced a new partnership with interbank payment processor Swift. Walk me through the announcement and tell me why you're teaming up.
Absolutely. It's a very exciting development that we've been working on for many years. We've been working with many of the participants for over 7 years, and this is the second collaboration that we're having with Swift. So it's actually progressing much further than before this time. Basically, we're working together with Swift, DTCC, Euroclear, and some of the world's largest banks like Citi, BNP Paribas, and large custodians like BNY Mellon to see how blockchains can be used within their largest categories of transactions. And this means that basically the idea that each of them would have their own kind of chains, and then those chains would need to be connected to by them. So their systems need to get connected to those chains, and the chains need to get connected between each other. And then the chains also need to get connected to public blockchains in order to have access to that market.
Okay, so this is a proof of concept that we're talking about. What are you looking for to make this, what would make this a successful test?
So this is actually the second proof of concept. So it's not the first. And this is a much more advanced one with over 10 participants and some of the largest banks in the world and the largest market infrastructures. So it's a more advanced proof of concept. I think the thing that we think it'll show is that you can efficiently use existing infrastructure like Swift messages to utilize multiple blockchains through one integration by using something like Chainlink to interact with those hundreds of blockchains in an efficient way. I think we'll be able to show that moving value across chains can be done efficiently and securely. And I think we'll show that through that same interface, you can move value into public chains, which means that bank chains can gain access to public blockchains relatively easily using that Chainlink CCIP protocol and interface.
And now we may have some insight onto why Gary Gensler is going so hard against Binance. Binance lawyers allege that the SEC chair Gensler offered himself to serve as advisor to the crypto company Binance back in 2019, meaning before Gary Gensler was in charge of the SEC, when he was still at MIT, or maybe right when he left, he asked to be an advisor, work for Binance, but was rejected. Documents filed by the SEC on Wednesday indicate that attorneys from Gibson Dunn and Latham and Watkins, two of Binance's law firms, allege that Gensler offered to serve as an advisor to the crypto exchange in several March 2019 conversations with Binance executives and CZ. He eventually met CZ in Japan for lunch later that month, the filing claims. And now this is interesting. What is Jay Clayton's take on the US versus Coinbase versus Binance versus crypto?
I think that when I was there, people would say I was a crypto hawk. We effectively shut down the ICO craze, said that most of what I'm seeing is securities activity. But I do think we are having very blunt conversations about something that requires nuance. Crypto is really a technology. The use of blockchain technology in all sorts of aspects of our financial system should be not controversial. The allegations in the cases, again, in FTX and in Binance, it's reprehensible behavior. Nobody wants it in our financial system. But it's not on the blockchain. It's commingling. It's fraudulent representations to the extent true. It's not as if the technology failed or the technology had some sort of fundamental problem.
Like always, see you tomorrow.